morning from San Pedro Creek Culture Park. Are you ready to flex those creative muscles? Well, you are in the right place. Welcome to our new virtual series, Get Creative. Get Creative will feature artists from all genres, including visual art, music, dance, literary arts, and the performing arts. Not only will you see these artists in action, but you will also glean valuable tools to enrich your own artistic practice. Today you'll hear from the amazing Carmen Tafolla. Loved throughout the world for her moving performances and poetry readings, Dr. Tafolla is a poet, storyteller, performance artist, and university professor based right here in San Antonio. From 2012 to 2014, she served as the first Poet Laureate of San Antonio, and in 2015, she was named the Poet Laureate of Texas. She has also received numerous awards, including the prestigious America's Award, and she has been recognized by the National Association of Chicana and Chicano Studies for work which gives voice to the peoples and cultures of this land. Please welcome Dr. Carmen Tafolla.
Hi, I'm Carmen, and I'm from San Antonio. In fact, I am so from San Antonio that I think you can find my DNA in the silt at the bottom of the San Antonio River. My ancestors have been in or near this river for the last 300 years, and some of them a lot longer than that. I feel so connected to this ground and this river that I think it really is a visible or invisible character in all of my writing. I was raised in the west side barrios of San Antonio, and I was raised surrounded by stories and poems. We had ancient traditions of declamando poesía, saying poems out loud that were memorized, sometimes by people who didn't even know how to read, but they remembered the literature. And they carried on those poems and taught them to children at 3 or 4 years old. So by the time I was 5, I was declamando poesía. And by the time I was 7, I was writing stories. But I was forbidden by state law from speaking or writing in my native language. And my native language was Tex-Mex. We spoke Spanish, we spoke English, we spoke a mixture of the two that we called, at that time, Tex-Mex. Now it's more commonly known as Spanglish or code switching. And it was a rich cultural environment. It was one that, while many people didn't appreciate it or stereotyped it because they were stereotyping our culture, it had all of the elements of fine literature. It was edited by generation after generation of people retelling the stories. It was filled with the knowledge of who people were. I fell in love with stories and poems and literature when I was a very young child, listening to the elderly people in my neighborhood, the grandmothers and the aunts and the uncles and the storytellers. And so my writing has always been a desire to capture the beauty of those people, of that culture, of this city, and to write it down on paper so that others could enjoy and appreciate that beauty as well. I did say that it was against the law for us to speak in our native language on school grounds. And we didn't even have many physical books around us. In fact, there was no library on my whole west side of town. But still, we began to create. And then came the 1960s and the 70s and the Chicano movement and Chicano literature, which fully embraced and celebrated speaking in the language of the people. I was in seventh heaven. It was so magic being able to create writing and publish it ourselves when the big publishers didn't want to. Create our own small presses and magazines right here in San Antonio, where some of the earliest Spanish language media has happened. You see, each one of us sees things and captures emotions from things in our surrounding. This place inspires me. San Pedro Creek is like a twilight zone of the past, present, and future. So much history has happened here on this ground and in this current of life that keeps traveling. So I draw a lot of inspiration from San Antonio's people, neighborhoods, and physical features that have been here longer than we have. When you think about writing, think about the things that have meaning in your life, or that strike you as funny, or strike you as tender, or hit you in the heart, or hit you in the gut, even bad things that happen. There's a great saying, nothing bad can ever happen to a writer, because it's all material. It's all stuff you can write about. So if something bad happens to you, and you don't know what to do about it, and it's all locked up inside you, go to a piece of paper and try to write it out. When I was growing up in San Antonio, we were accosted with stereotypes of all sorts, especially that San Antonio was a lazy little city along the river. It also extended to their stereotypes of the people who lived here. So I wrote this poem in 1974 or so to counter those stereotypes, to declare who we really were. It's called San Antonio. San Antonio, they called you lazy. They saw your silent, subtle, screaming eyes and called you lazy. They saw your lean, bronzed workmaid's arms and called you lazy. They saw your century's secret sweet night song and called you lazy. San Antonio, they saw your sky birth and sun altar, your corn dirt soul and mute bell toll, your river ripple heart soft with life, your ancient shawl of sigh on strife, and didn't see. San Antonio, they called you lazy. This river here is full of me and mine. This river here is full of you and yours. Right here, or maybe a little farther down, my great-grandmother washed her family's clothes, washed the dirt out of them, soaking them, scrubbing them, bringing them up clean. Right here, or maybe a little farther down, my grandpa washed the sins out of his congregation's souls, baptizing them, scrubbing them, bringing them up clean. Right here, or maybe a little farther down, my great-great-grandma froze with fear as she glimpsed between the lean, dark trees a lean, dark Indian peering at her. ¡Ay! She ran home screaming, ¡Ay, los indios! ¡Ahí vienen los indios! The Indians are coming! As he threw pebbles at her, laughing, till one day she got mad and stayed and threw pebbles right back at him. After they got married, they built their house right here, or maybe a little farther down. Right here, my father gathered mesquite beans and wild berries, working with a passion during the Depression. His eager sweat poured off and mixed so easily with the water of this river here. Right here, my mother cried in silence, so far from her home, sitting with her one brown suitcase, a travel trunk packed full with blessings and rolling tears of loneliness and longing, which mixed again so easily with the currents of this river here. Right here, we'd pour out picnics and childhood's blood from dirty scrapes on dirty knees, and every generation's first-hand stories of the weeping lady La Llorona haunting the river every night, crying, "Ay, mis hijos." It happened right here. The fear dripped off our skin, and the blood dripped off our scrapes, and they mixed with the river water right here. Right here, the stories and the stillness of those gone before us haunt us still. Now grown, our scrapes in different places, the voices of those now dead, quieter but not too far away. Right here we were married, you and I, and the music filled the air, danced in, dipped in, mixed in with the river water, dirt and sins, fear and anger, Sweat, tears, blood, music, love, and memories. It was right here. And right here we stand, washing clean our memories, baptizing our hearts, gathering past and present, dancing to the flow we find right here, or maybe a little farther down.
We hope you enjoyed this first edition of Get Creative at San Pedro Creek Culture Park. You can view this video and other virtual series on our Facebook page or our website at spcculturepark.com. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.